16 scientists gave up, but in 3 minutes, a poor secretary discovered the hidden solution. Amazed, in the heart of an urban jungle where wealth and poverty danced in dissonance, Mia trudged through her job at the nonprofit. With 2 small children waiting at home, every day felt like a marathon. She was a 34-year-old widow, and the weight of her responsibilities threatened to crush her spirit. But she carried her father's legacy, a war veteran who taught her that fighting the good fight was its own reward. Her 2 kids, Clara and Max, were her little stars, shining brightly in her often dim world. The nonprofit was floundering. 16 seasoned scientists had surrendered to the black hole of despair, each failure darkening their expressions like unearthed secrets. Mia could hear their whispered frustrations as she busied herself in the supply closet, shoving aside dusty boxes of forgotten hopes. That's when her eyes fell on an ancient project binder, crammed full of promise but left to gather dust. She could almost hear her father's voice, urging her to recognize the balance between expertise and perspective, to trust her gut. With a jolt, she leafed through the binder and felt sparks ignite in her mind. Surrounded by chaos, revelation hit her like a lightning bolt. In just 3 brisk minutes, she jotted down ideas that flitted through her consciousness, unexplored paths that might lead to the very break the scientists had longed for. Her heart raced as she made the connections, a mix of fear and elation coursing through her veins. Standing before the weary team, she felt like a moth emerging from a cocoon. "I think I've got something," she announced, her voice a clear bell cutting through the dense fog of skepticism. They exchanged glances, eyebrows raised, incredulity painting their faces. "She's just a secretary," one whispered. What could she possibly know? But underestimating Mia was a grave mistake. Clutching her notes tightly, she dove into her findings with an unshakable determination fueled by love and necessity. "Listen," she said, her voice trembling slightly, "it's not about data alone. It's about understanding the people we aim to serve." A realization passed over the lead researcher, the flicker of curiosity in his eyes hinting that Mia's words had touched something deeply buried. Despite the tension hanging thick in the air, turmoil began to shift. Days turned into weeks, and Mia found herself sitting shoulder to shoulder with esteemed scientists, ideas mingling into a cacophony of hope. The gears began to turn, a shared vision emerging from the rubble of broken dreams. But with hope came the specter of a new threat. A funding crisis loomed like a storm cloud overhead, ready to extinguish their flickering candle of progress. Before we continue, I need to let you know about something important that's happening. YouTube has been making changes to the system and many people are losing notifications from channels they follow. If you're enjoying the content, hit that bell and mark all notifications so you don't miss the next videos. And if you can drop a like, it really helps me with reach. Seriously, it makes a difference. Oh, let me know in the comments where you're watching from. I'm always curious to know who's on the other side of the screen. Now let's continue. As the clock ticked ominously, their camaraderie would be put to the ultimate test. Mia's leadership emerged not just as a lifeline for the project but as a call for resilience against the relentless wave of indifference looming outside their doors. Worry laced their laughter, determination marked their tears. Would this determined underdog truly shatter the chains of social prejudice, or would her dreams slip away unnoticed, swallowed by an unforgiving world? The question echoed ominously, pulling them all into the narrative woven with hope and uncertainty, leading them into the pursuit of an elusive miracle. Days blurred into nights as the lab buzzed with an energy both tangible and fragile. The scientists, once resigned and defeated, began to breathe life back into the project. Mia stood at the center of it all, but with each flicker of hope came a shadow of doubt. The funding crisis loomed, whispering threats that seemed to wrap around her like a suffocating blanket. Mia often found herself staring out the small window of the cramped office, watching as the light faded and hope dimmed in her neighborhood. Outside, children played with unfettered joy, a stark contrast to the strain that gripped her heart. Clara and Max needed her. They deserved a life filled with laughter and promise, not one buried under the weight of uncertainty. One evening, as she shoved her notebook into her bag, an idea struck her, a plan so outrageous it made her heart race again. What if we take our findings to the community? She thought, her palms sweaty with excitement. If they see what we're doing, maybe they'll want to help. Mia gathered her courage and approached the scientists with her idea. They hesitated at first, their brows furrowed with concern. What if we can't deliver? The lead researcher, Dr. Wells, asked, anxiety etched on his face. What if this only brings more scrutiny? It's a risk we have to take, Mia pressed, her voice steady but filled with emotion. We can't let our work die here. They might surprise us. We can't solve their problems without their voices. After a long silence, one by one, they began to nod, uncertainty giving way to cautious optimism. They decided to organize an open forum, inviting community members to witness their findings and discuss their plans. Mia felt a surge of adrenaline. It was a chance, however slim, to turn the tide. As the day of the forum approached, Mia poured herself into organizing the event. Every detail mattered. This was their moment to connect, to rally support. She plastered flyers around town, visited community centers, and even reached out through social media. The event was not just about the science, it was about the people. On the day of the forum, Mia stood nervously at the podium, her heart thrumming in her chest. The room teemed with life, familiar faces, hopeful strangers, and curious neighbors filled the seats. She felt the weight of their expectations pressing on her as she shared the team's journey, her palms slick with sweat as she spoke. But as she detailed their discoveries, she saw eyes light up, faces nodding in recognition. They understood what was at stake. Each voice that chimed in, from local business owners to parents, added weight to their mission, weaving a tapestry of collective will. It was beautiful, stirring, and something deep inside Mia ignited. When the questions began to flow, challenges rose up alongside support. Voices of doubt emerged as loud as cheers. But can you really make a difference? A skeptical member of the audience shot back, making Mia's heart sink for a second. Together, we can, she replied. It's about collaboration, inclusion, and bringing everyone to the table. Their tenacity sparked debates, laughter, and even tears. Avery, a teenager with dreams of becoming a scientist, stood up and said, "If you succeed, my kids will have a better future. We want to be part of this." The wave of encouragement that followed was like a rush of oxygen. A powerful connection had formed, igniting a fire of hope throughout the community. But just as the atmosphere buzzed with elation, a newcomer entered, her face cold, arms crossed. It was the board member who had always opposed their funding and diminutive in demeanor. She looked ready to put a stop to everything. "What are you doing?" she interjected sharply, silencing the room. Mia's heart sank. Had their moment to shine turned into their moment of reckoning? With her pulse racing, Mia took a deep breath, aware that this wasn't the end, it was just beginning. Would they stand together and challenge the harsh reality facing them? Or would they falter once more? The answer lay ahead, tantalizing yet terrifying. Mia glanced at the board member, her heart pounding like a drum. Silence enveloped the room, heavy and weighted with anticipation. The community, once buzzing with hope, now held its breath, a collective gasp suspended in time. She knew this was the moment. "Avery, let us put this into practice," she said, holding on to the young teen's infectious energy. "Every voice matters, right? Together, we can make that difference." But the board member stepped closer, her expression hardening, as if made of flint. "You think you can just come here and sway these people with some emotional speech? Science doesn't work like that." Mia straightened her spine, holding her ground. "No, it doesn't. But it thrives on collaboration. The people here want to invest in their future. We're not here to ask for handouts, we're here to forge partnerships." A sympathetic murmur rippled through the crowd, emboldening Mia. The board member's eyes narrowed as she struggled to find a retort. Mia took a breath, feeling the passion of those gathered wash over her. "We've laid the groundwork, but without community support, our research is just another filing cabinet full of research papers. Look around you." She gestured toward the faces in the crowd, passionate parents, hopeful students, and dedicated business owners. These people want answers, and they want to help. You might think their hopes are misplaced, but we can show them the facts. Together. Mia's words struck the heart of every individual there. She could see the spark ignite in the crowd, determination, solidarity. They were ready to stand with her, but would it be enough against the looming threat standing before them? The board member opened her mouth to speak again, but the crowd grew louder. "Let them have a chance," shouted one neighbor, his voice rising above the murmurs. "They're doing this for us." A chorus of voices joined in, echoing the sentiment, each person pushing back against the weight of doubt. Mia felt energy surge through her. She was no longer alone on that stage. But as the board member stepped back, she crossed her arms tighter, a wall of resistance. "This isn't over," she warned, cool detachment written across her face. Mia swallowed hard, determined not to let fear take hold. "No, it's just beginning," she said, with resolve that surprised even herself. After the forum, as the crowd began to disperse, Mia caught sight of Avery, who had been listening intently, eyes wide with excitement. "You really did it, Mia. You were amazing." Mia knelt beside him, wild hope swirling in her chest. "We did it, Avery. We showed them we exist, that we matter. But we need to build on this." Before Avery could respond, Clara and Max, her children, ran and hugged Mia tightly. Their warmth washed over her, invigorating her spirit. "Did you win? Did people like your speech?" Clara's innocent eyes shone with curiosity. "We're just getting started, sweetheart," Mia said, brushing a lock of hair from Clara's forehead. Still buzzing with adrenaline, she spotted Dr. Wells talking to one of their colleagues. As she approached, she could see the flicker of hope reappearing on his face, a marked change from the anxiety he'd shown earlier. "That was quite a show, Mia. You brought those people together." Mia nodded, a grin breaking across her face. "But we can't stop here. We need to meet more people, people who want to champion our cause. We need to get the community invested in the future." Just as they started to formulate their next steps, the board member re-entered the room, a thoughtful expression on her face this time. "We may have underestimated the community support. Your project could be an important asset." Mia's heart raced at the unexpected twist. Had she already begun to chip away at the board's opposition? It felt like they were standing on the edge of something monumental, and she was ready to leap. But would the support be enough to save their project? Or would the board member's next moves be aimed at annihilating any progress they'd made? The path ahead gleamed with potential, but lurking uncertainties clouded the horizon. And Mia could feel that the real battle was only just beginning. As the board member stepped back, her pondering gaze sweeping over the crowd, Mia's heart danced between hope and fear. What if this was a mere distraction, a way to lead them to another dead end? The tension was palpable, a taut wire ready to snap. "Let us take a moment," the board member finally said, her voice steady yet cool. "I'll need to discuss this with the other members. Community support is impressive, but what does that really mean for our research scheme?" The room held its breath again. Mia stepped forward, her voice steady, unwavering. "It means collaboration. It means we're more than just scientists and researchers, we're part of this community. Investing in us means investing in all of them." A murmur of agreement rippled through the audience. Avery stood beside Mia, fists clenched with determination. "You can count on us. We're in this together." The board member's brow furrowed slightly, a crack beginning to form in her previously stoic exterior. But just as hope threatened to bubble to the surface, she shook her head, as if to rid herself of softening thoughts. "Talk is cheap. I need tangible results, not just enthusiasm," she replied, her tone clipped. "You have 1 week. Prove to us you can turn support into action, or this venture is dead." Whispers of disbelief spread through the crowd. A week? It felt impossibly short, like being handed a puzzle with missing pieces. But Mia refused to waver. Instead, she felt the fire of challenge ignite in her. "Then consider this a starting line," Mia declared, her voice ringing clear. "We will show you not just our passion but our potential." The board member nodded curtly, already turning away. Mia felt a surge of resolve. They were in a race against time, and she would make every second count. Once the meeting dispersed, Mia gathered Dr. Wells, Avery, and her children. We need a plan, and we need it fast, she said, her mind racing. We have a week, and we can't waste a moment. Avery, his eyes sparkling with enthusiasm, announced, "What if we organize a community event? Something big, like a science fair? It could showcase our research and bring everyone together." "Brilliant," Mia said, feeling a rush of admiration for the young teen. "We can present real projects, gather testimonials from families and businesses, and show the board how invested this community really is." With that, the team went into overdrive. They met every evening, brainstorming ideas, gathering volunteers, and spreading the word through social media and flyers. There was an electric energy in the air, almost like a fire of hope igniting across the community. Every corner of the town buzzed with anticipation. Friends joined forces, businesses pledged support, and families rallied around their collective dream. With each passing day, Mia felt like they were inching closer to something extraordinary, but even as excitement mounted, darker thoughts gnawed at her. Was it enough? Would it resonate with the board? The day of the science fair dawned, bright and promising. Mia stepped out, her heart pounding as she scanned the crowd. With tables filled with vibrant displays and excited chatter, it was a beautiful sight. But an underlying tension brewed. As she greeted each guest, the gnawing weight of doubt simmered in her gut. At the end of the day, would they capture the board's attention? Or would they walk away disappointed, just as so many had before? As evening approached, Mia stood by the entrance, her eyes lingering on the crowd, realizing this was more than just a showcase. It was about hope, about what they could accomplish together. And in that moment, she knew she had to fight for them all. In the crowd, a figure caught her eye. It was the board member, watching with an unreadable expression. Had they finally managed to sway her? Mia could feel the tension in her chest tighten. What did the board member truly think? In that pivotal moment, she knew everything hinged on this decision, but would their united front be enough to persuade the board and change everything for their future? As the sunlight began to fade, casting long shadows over the bustling crowd, Mia's heart raced. She spotted the board member again, arms crossed, but an eyebrow quirked slightly, maybe a hint of interest. Hope blossomed within her, yet doubts nagged at the edges of her mind. Avery buzzed past, handing out juice boxes to children darting around the project displays. "Can you believe this turnout, Mia?" "Everyone showed up," he exclaimed, energy radiating from him. Mia smiled, though her thoughts were straying to the looming hour when the board member would return with a verdict. The chill in the air reminded her of her responsibility. She needed this moment to be about more than just a fair. It was about their shared dreams, aspirations that went beyond data and graphs. It was personal. She turned to Dr. Wells, who stood nearby, adjusting the display that showcased their groundbreaking study on local water pollution. "What if we invite that family from down the street to share their story?" Mia asked, her tone urgent. "Their daughter was affected, and it shows just how essential this research is." Dr. Wells nodded, understanding the weight of Mia's words. "Absolutely. We need to show the board the human angle of our work. Let us catch them." Together, they hurried to find the family, weaving through the enthralled crowd. As they reached a booth featuring colorful volcanoes made from baking soda and vinegar, Mia spotted them. "Mr. and Mrs. Carter." She called out, her voice cutting through the laughter of children. The Carters turned, a hint of surprise on their faces. "Oh, hey, Mia. This is quite the event." Mrs. Carter's eyes sparkled as she motioned toward the displays. "It's fantastic, but we really need your help. Could you share your story?" Mia's plea held an edge of urgency. The couple exchanged glances, their smiles fading into expressions of concern. "It's a hard story, Mia," Mr. Carter said quietly. "Our daughter, it hasn't been easy. I know it's tough, but your story could help all of us. This is bigger than just one family, it affects everyone in our community. If we don't fight for this now, things will only get worse." The desperation in Mia's voice resonated, digging into their hearts. After a long pause, Mrs. Carter sighed, "Let us do it. The world needs to know." Mia felt an overwhelming sense of gratitude. As talks began with the Carters, the fair continued to bustle. Teams of children raced past, their laughter ringing in the air, mixing with the rich scent of popcorn and cotton candy. Each moment felt electric, each smile a reminder of why they were fighting. Meanwhile, the board member reappeared, still quiet, but her eyes scanning the different projects. She paused as she passed a booth where two little girls demonstrated a water filtration system. Mia fought to remain steady. Was she impressed? Disappointed? Mia leaned in closer, straining to hear if the board member would speak. Impressive, the board member said finally, her voice almost lost in the chaos. But still, will it change anything? That single question sat heavy in the air, laced with both challenge and possibility. Mia's heart sank, but her determination only deepened. She turned back to the Carters, who were preparing to speak. This moment was pivotal, and she could feel the collective heartbeat of the community behind her. As the couple stepped forward and began to share their experience, Mia's heart soared. She believed in what they were doing, in what they could achieve together. If the board member chose to listen, suddenly, a commotion erupted. A child stumbled into the display table, sending papers flying everywhere. Mia rushed to help, but all she could think about was how fragile their moment was. Would one mishap unravel everything? In that chaos, a whisper of a solution danced through Mia's mind, but she couldn't catch it fully. Focus, she told herself. You've come too far. As she gathered her thoughts, she looked at the faces around her: hope, fear, anticipation. Would they capture the board member's attention? Would the Carter's story make a difference? And if disaster struck now, would it derail everything they had worked for? Mia took a deep breath, ready to face whatever came next. But at the back of her mind lingered the question: what was the hidden solution waiting to be discovered? Mia's heart was pounding as she knelt, scrambling to gather the scattered papers. The noise from the crowd blurred into a dull roar, but she kept her focus. Each piece of paper represented hours of hard work, passion, and the dreams of the community. The words felt personal, like pieces of her own soul laid bare, and they couldn't just disappear into the ground. Here, let me help. Avery knelt beside her, his smile still bright even in the chaos. Thanks. She exhaled, grateful for his presence. With their combined efforts, they managed to corral the papers, but Mia's mind was racing. The board member was still watching. Would they see this as a sign of disarray, a lack of professionalism? Or would they recognize the heart behind the chaos? Then, Mia's gaze flickered back to the Carters. They stood quietly, the joy from earlier washed away, replaced by uncertainty. She could sense the weight of their story hanging in the air. This was a moment that could inspire change. She had to act. Mia, we need to rearrange the display, Avery suggested, glancing anxiously at the board member. If we make it visually appealing again. No. Mia shook her head. This isn't just about looks. It's about what we're fighting for. We need to keep the Carters front and center. Let their voices be heard. As Mia turned back to the Carters, she felt a surge of empathy. You have a chance to show everyone what you've been through. Don't hold back. People need to hear this. Mrs. Carter met her gaze, and in that moment, understanding sparked. You're right. Let us do it, she said, clutching her husband's hand for support. With renewed determination, the couple stepped forward. The noise of laughter and chatter faded into the background. Their voices soared above the crowd, weaving a narrative fleshed out with vulnerability. Mia watched as their raw emotions painted the true picture of the struggle they faced, and how it was intertwined with the decline of their community. Mia could see heads turning as people began to listen. The board member had shifted her stance, interest flickered behind her eyes. At that moment, everything seemed to converge: the families, the children, the promise of a better future. Suddenly, just as Mrs. Carter revealed a particularly poignant moment about her daughter's health struggles, the power flickered. The fair plunged into a sudden darkness, leaving the gathering in startled silence. Gasps echoed, and Mia's heart dropped. It felt like an omen. What if this was the end of everything they had worked so hard for? Stay calm. Everyone stay close. Avery yelled, his voice cutting through the panic. Mia felt her own heart race, anxiety tightening its grip. But then, from the back of the crowd, she heard the fizzling sound of a generator sputtering back to life. Lights flickered back on. As the illumination returned, Mia's eyes widened. The board member had moved closer, now just a few feet away from the Carters. The flickering light revealed a new urgency in her eyes, a sense of being drawn into the truth that shone in the Carter story. "Tell them what you told me," Mia urged softly to Mrs. Carter, her own chest tightening with hope, feeling the weight of their testimony. Mrs. Carter nodded, tears glistening. "It's not just our story, it's everybody else. If we don't protect our water, we lose our families, our lives." Mia felt everything on the verge of breaking through, the air thick with possibility. The audience shifted, emotions swirled around them like a warm breeze. Desperation transformed into unity as the community leaned in, ready to listen, but just then, the board member raised her hand, silencing the crowd. "I need to know," she said, her voice steady. "What is your plan? How will you change this?" Mia's heart sank. They had poured their passion into the testimony, but they needed a concrete plan. The hidden solution she had sensed before was just beyond her reach. With the audience looking to her for hope, Mia felt the pressure mount. What could she say? Would they believe in themselves enough to fight for action together? Suddenly, a thought blossomed in her mind. One that might just shift everything once more. But she needed the courage to voice it. Where do we go from here? Mia wondered, wrestling with her own uncertainty while the community around her hung in the balance. Mia's heart raced as the board member's question lingered in the air. It was a simple inquiry, yet it felt like a weighty demand, like a challenge that could reshape everything. The crowd awaited her answer, a sea of faces filled with hope and uncertainty. She knew that every eye on her was a reminder of the stakes involved. Avery leaned closer, whispering, "We have to give them something. Anything." Mia looked at the Carters, their faces etched with worry. They had shared their story for them. It was not just about the water, it was about their family, their lives. They needed a way forward that honored that truth. But the solution eluded her. Maybe. Mia began hesitantly, then paused, the words feeling stuck in her throat. "Maybe we could start a community initiative? Something simple that gets people involved." Her voice had a hint of uncertainty, but she pressed on. "Like regular meetings to plan cleanups and educate folks about the water crisis. We could ask the schools to join us, get the kids involved." A small murmur ignited among the onlookers. It wasn't perfect, but it was a start. Mia could sense a spark light up in the crowd. The Carters exchanged hopeful glances. "That's it," Mrs. Carter's voice trembled with emotion. "Getting everyone together. We can share our stories, gather support." "Yes." Avery seemed to find his own rhythm now, picking up on the momentum. "We could partner with local organizations. They might have resources we can use." Mia nodded, her heart swelling. "And we can present our findings to the board, showing that the community stands strong together." She felt the urgency surge forward. "Imagine if we could gather hundreds of signatures, images, testimonies. Every voice counts." A sense of determination cast over the crowd. The community was coming alive with possibility. But then, the board member spoke again, her tone softer but pressing. "And what if the city says no? What happens if we face bureaucratic pushback? How do you plan to overcome that?" The weight of her question crashed over Mia again. She had seen plenty of battles fought and lost against bureaucracy. Would they really be able to stand firm in the face of such challenges? Taking a deep breath, she responded with newfound courage, "Then we rally harder." Each word poured out of her, a building fire. "We tell our stories louder. News articles, social media, local radio show them how their decisions affect real people. We share our truth until they can't ignore us." The murmurs grew louder, a swell of agreement rippling through the crowd. She could see the glimmers of excitement returning to the Carters' eyes, the way their shoulders straightened, the way they began to believe again. But was it enough? Could their passion truly translate into action that would resound within the halls of power? Just as Mia reveled in the moment, a sudden cry broke through. "Look! It's Jack!" Someone pointed toward the entrance of the fair, where a boy clutching a clipboard rushed in, breathless and hurried. Jack! Mia called out, confused and curious. He was just a kid. What could he possibly bring now? Guys, I've got something. You won't believe this. He ran toward them, his eyes wild with excitement. Mia felt her heart skip a beat. What had Jack found? As the crowd parted to let him through, she held her breath, bracing for what might come next. Jack, what is it? Tell us. She urged, eager and anxious all at once. He paused, wide-eyed with urgency. It's the research from the scientists. I've been looking into it while I was at home. They did some studies that might help us. Mia felt the world tilt slightly on its axis. Had Jack just uncovered the missing piece they so desperately needed? The murmur of the crowd grew louder, anticipation buzzing like electricity in the air. What could this new information mean for their struggle? And in that moment, Mia realized that hope was being rebuilt right in front of her eyes. The journey toward change was unfolding, but they weren't finished yet. What would Jack's discovery reveal? Jack took a deep breath, clearly trying to calm the whirlwind inside him. I was looking through the studies on the water, right? You know, the ones about contamination and cleanup methods. His eyes sparkled with the kind of excitement that turned dread into determination. And there's this one approach that barely anyone knows about. It's, like, a grassroots method for purifying water using natural materials. Mia's heart pounded in rhythm with his words. What do you mean? Can you elaborate? Yeah. So, it turns out, there's this bacterial system they created using a combination of sand and clay, and just a little bit of plant material. Jack's enthusiasm poured out like clear water from a well. They've had success with it in other places, like small towns that couldn't rely on city systems. If we can adapt this model, we could actually create a working method for our community. A buzz of disbelief made its way through the crowd. It was so simple yet so groundbreaking. Could this really be the solution they'd been searching for? Mia looked to the Carters, who showed a mixture of shock and hope. This could change everything, she whispered, half to herself and half to them. They stood frozen for a moment, processing the implications of Jack's discovery. Avery spoke up, his voice quivering with excitement. Do you mean we could build our own filtration system? We wouldn't have to wait for the city to help us? We could actually take charge? Jack nodded vigorously. Exactly. The studies mentioned how cheap it is to implement, too. We could get local volunteers to help build it. There's no need for a huge budget or government intervention. Mia felt a surge of hope, the warmth spreading through her chest. We could start with a community meeting. Bring everyone together to discuss how we can implement this. But what if it doesn't work? Someone called out from the back of the crowd. Concern etched on her face, the voice pierced through the excitement, triggering a moment of silence. Mia turned to meet the gaze of the woman who had asked, recognizing her as a single mother struggling to provide for her kids. What if it fails? She reiterated. What if we invest our time, our hope, and it doesn't pan out? Silence wrapped around them, a weight that threatened to suffocate the moment. Mia felt her chest tighten. She understood the fear. It echoed in her heart as well. But as she scanned the eager faces around her, she also saw a flicker of determination. I get it, Mia replied gently, her voice steady. There are no guarantees. Nothing in life is certain. But look at us. We are a community willing to fight. We've been waiting for someone else to save us. Now we have an opportunity to do it ourselves. The murmurs rippled through the crowd again, picking up strength. Rethinking their approach ignited fire beneath their worries. What if they could believe in themselves? What if this was the moment everything changed? Let us do this. Avery shouted, his enthusiasm infectious. Let us turn this idea into action. We work together, we move mountains, we find solutions. People nodded, smiles breaking like dawn among the sea of faces. Hope began to rise. Mia felt more than just hope, it was a chill of realization that one spark could ignite entire flames. She held Jack's gaze, the silent vow passing between them. They had something real, something tangible. They weren't just talking anymore, they were ready to act. Okay, let us set a date for the first meeting, she said decisively, her pulse quickening with excitement. We'll invite everyone, share these ideas, and start working on our solution. As the crowd buzzed with energy, preparation for the unexpected began. But just then, a figure stepped forward from the back, hesitation in her eyes. What if the scientists don't want us to use their findings? The question hung in the air, chilling the growing excitement. Had they focused too much on the light of hope and overlooked the shadows lurking behind it? In that moment, Mia's heart raced again, not with the thrill of possibility, but with the pressure of uncertainty. Would they face backlash? Would the idea they embraced be snatched away before it even began? With a quick glance at Jack, she felt the weight of both challenge and potential pressing down on her. What if their effort was truly about to begin, only to be shut down? Their journey was just starting, but the real battles might be far from over. What would they face next? Mia stood frozen, her mind racing. What if that question was the reality check they needed? She turned back to the crowd, wrestling her own fears as she looked into their expectant faces. Jack stepped closer. We deal with one step at a time. If we focus on what we can do right now, we'll figure the rest out later. The crowd quieted, digesting Jack's words. The hesitation that lingered felt heavy. Was it really that simple? Could they just push through despite the risks? Avery's hand shot up again. What if we reach out directly to those scientists? They want to share their findings, right? Maybe they're open to collaborations. Let us make a plan to talk to them. No harm in trying. Mia couldn't help but let a smile creep across her face. Avery always had a knack for turning worry into action. That's a great idea, Avery. We could highlight our community's needs and demonstrate how we use their findings for good. No one can argue with that. As the excitement began to build again, Mia felt adrenaline rushing through her. They could do this. But the fear still loomed, faint but present. She couldn't shake the worry that the scientists might refuse them or shut the project down altogether. Jack's hand brushed against hers. You okay? He whispered, his eyes dark with concern. Yeah, I am. She spoke softly, but her insides twisted with apprehension. But it's a big risk we're taking here. What if they don't care about our little town? What if they look down on us? The way I see it, he said, his voice low but resolute, if we don't try, we're losing before we even begin. We've got the fire. Now we need to show them why they should care. She nodded slowly, appreciating his belief. The flame within her flickered to life again, and she felt the weight of her worries lighten just a bit. Okay, so how do we set up this meeting? Avery interrupted, eagerly brainstorming. We can use social media to spread the word. We might even get local news involved. Imagine them covering our push. It'll show the scientists we're serious. The crowd chimed in, talking over each other, inspiration bursting forth like popcorn in a pan. Ideas flew around, each person contributing a piece of the puzzle. A plan began to form, a community meeting to rally their neighbors, gather ideas, and draft a letter to the scientists. Amid the buzz, Mia glanced at the woman who had first voiced her concerns. She looked conflicted, teetering between doubt and belief. It's okay to be scared, Mia said, walking toward her. What we're doing is huge. But that's why it's so important. The woman's brow furrowed. What if we fail? Then we learn, Jack chimed in, moving to Mia's side. But what if we succeed? What if this isn't just about water, but about how we come together as a community? We have a chance to rewrite our story. The woman met Mia's gaze, uncertainty darkening her eyes. But as other faces lit up with hope, Mia could see the tiniest spark igniting within her. As the plans took shape, Mia felt a shift in the energy around her. The once risk-averse crowd was transforming, united in determination. No longer were they just a group, they were a force. But still, a nagging thought crowded Mia's mind. What if the scientists turned their backs? Would the passion of the community be enough to withstand potential rejection? The meeting date was set, and preparations began, everyone excited and ready to act. Yet, in the midst of the growing optimism, Mia sensed the weight of their impending reality. They were stepping onto a path fraught with unknowns. As she and Jack volunteered to draft a letter to the scientists, a strange notion twisted in her stomach. The excitement of the moment didn't erase her fears. They were climbing a mountain, and at the top could be rewards or maybe a devastating fall. Would their effort unify the town or shatter their dreams? As she scribbled down ideas, Mia couldn't shake the feeling that the real challenge was just about to begin. A knock on the door broke her concentration, and she turned to see a figure standing there. It was Avery, his face pale, holding a piece of paper. "I need you guys to see this," he said, his voice trembling. What had they stumbled upon now? What news could change everything? Avery unfolded the paper slowly, revealing a printed email. The room fell silent, all eyes focused on what he had in his hands. As he began to read aloud, Mia felt her heart pound in her chest. The email was from the Board of Scientists, the same board that had previously cast shadows over their hopes. Subject: Community Initiative Inquiry. Avery's voice quaked slightly. "They're requesting a meeting. They want to discuss our proposed community initiative." Mia's heart soared and panic wrestled for space in her chest. "Really?" she asked, scarcely able to believe it. "What do they want?" "We're impressed with your grassroots efforts and would like to understand how your community plans to implement this method," he read further. The room burst into whispers, disbelief and hope mingling in the air. Mia could hardly breathe as she processed the information. Are they truly interested in us? It seemed impossible, almost too good to be true. Avery nodded vigorously. "They want us to present our plans and how the community can get involved. They are considering the potential for collaboration." But what? Mia didn't like the hesitation in his voice. "There's a catch," he continued, his brow furrowed. "They want us to provide a detailed outline of how we use their research in a practical context." Mia's mind whirled. "We can do this," she said, drawing strength from the energy swirling around her. "We need to come together even stronger. We've been given an opening, a chance to show them that the voices of a community can turn into actionable change." "No way we can do this alone," Jack chimed in, his excitement infectious. "We rally everyone we can. We need every hand on deck." Mia felt a rush of adrenaline. "Then let us do it. We set up another community meeting for tomorrow evening. We'll build on what we've got and focus on how we will implement their findings." Excitement surged through the room, but there remained a tinge of apprehension. The pressure was on. As the night wore on, they were all consumed in preparations, each member of the community pouring their hopes and ideas into a collective vision. Mia could see the fire develop in the crowd. Confidence blossomed, laughter echoed, and a sense of unity permeated the air. It was nothing short of beautiful. When the second meeting arrived, Mia stood before familiar faces, the buzz of anticipation thrilling her senses. She felt the warmth of gratitude and responsibility wash over her. This was about more than water, it represented a stand against despair itself. "Thank you for coming," Mia called out, her voice cutting through the excitement. "Today, we're not just presenting plans, we're sharing a vision of hope. Together, we'll find a way to transform our community." The room filled with applause, and she could see the eagerness in everyone's eyes. Over the next hour, they shared ideas, strategies, and built a plan that fanned their energy into solid foundations. The conversations became electric as Mia led diverse groups focused on fundraising, project outlines, and community engagement. Avery chimed in with energy, "And we can do community cleanup events. Engage the kids, get local businesses to donate materials at show the scientists we mean business." "Yes," Mia exclaimed, feeling the momentum rise. "We can create a living demonstration. Gather volunteers to work on a prototype of Jack's bacteria system. Witnessing it in action will show them how serious we are." People murmured and nodded, the excitement bubbling over. They developed timelines, a list of volunteers, and contacts to involve local businesses in their mission. Their collective drive felt tangible, a raw energy that pulsed in rhythm with their dreams. Mia ended their session with a fiery declaration, one final surge of hope erupting through her. This is our moment. We're not asking for handouts. We're building partnerships. Together, we will show that our voices matter, and we demand a seat at the table. The room erupted with cheers and determination. Mia felt a tear slide down her cheek as she looked around at the faces of neighbors, united in purpose. A warmth flooded her heart, a mix of pride and hope unlike anything she'd ever felt. With every ounce of energy, they worked tirelessly, each step taking them closer to that pivotal meeting with the scientists. Mia hardly slept, her days blending into nights, but she felt alive. Finally, the day arrived, and as she stood inside the boardroom, surrounded by the leading scientists, she took a deep breath, centering herself. She could feel the weight of her community behind her, their hopes resting on this moment. Her voice trembled slightly but carried strength. Thank you for the opportunity to discuss what we've discovered together. We believe that science is strongest when it's supported by community action, she began, detailing the plan they had forged together, the grassroots efforts fueled not just by science but by heart, passion, and unity. As she spoke, she saw nods of understanding among the scientists, their eyes gleaming with interest. The atmosphere shifted, she felt them leaning in, truly listening. This is about collective hope, changing realities, protecting families, and creating a future. Together, we can make this change happen. She could feel it, the excitement in the air, the acknowledgement of possibility, a breakthrough into a new future. And just like that, Mia felt the breakthrough spark ignite from a whisper of potential to a roaring flame strong enough to light the way for them all. An irreversible change was coming, a surge of resolve blossoming from the depths of their community, and it was stunning. They left that meeting with a commitment that would change everything, and Mia knew then that each challenge they had faced had forged something indestructible, a shared dream blossoming from the simplest yet most profound elements of trust, hope, and determination. As she stepped back into the outside world, surrounded by her children and neighbors who fought alongside her, Mia understood this journey was far more than just about purifying water. This was about community, a bond resilient enough to weather any storm. In that moment, she glanced down at Clara and Max, who gazed up at her with wide, curious eyes. And she knew without a doubt, together, they would create a future filled with light, forever ignited by the belief that they had the power to bring change. It was just the beginning. Now more than ever, if you felt that spark of inspiration and hope along with Mia, you need to subscribe now. This is the moment to show your support. Hit that like button right this second to feed the algorithm, because every click counts. Tell me your thoughts, your feelings about this ending in the comments below. And don't wait, not even one more second, to share this video with 5 friends who could use their own transformation. Let's spread the message of hope and action.